Good morning. It's a NASCAR show. I'm very excited to hang out with my old buddy Keg, who I don't see anymore. He usually goes to sleep around right now, but he's awake this morning. We're at the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. If it's the wrong race, you guys can correct me. Everybody knows. Everybody knows I'm NASCAR Holden. So
that's a good start.
Yeah. Why are you shaking your head, buddy? What is it today?
Who are you talking to me?
Yeah, you. What's going on?
It's always good to start a show with, I think we're at Las Vegas.
Yeah. I mean, I did a whole bunch of research. I watched your show from last night. I gave it a like. Okay.
Yeah.
I gave it a like. Yeah. I watched you and Coop for my research, trying to read the playbook. And then I went to NASCAR.com. But I was correct, right? We're at Las Vegas and
Correct.
It's Pennzoil 400. And we're going to talk some NASCAR today. That's what we're going to do. But I have something to say. If you have not subscribed to our website, Run Pure Sports or Run Pure Bets, make sure you do that. It's the little sideways triangle in the bottom right of your screen. And then we're going to talk NASCAR today from a DFS side and from a betting side. And that's what we're going to do. Hit the like button too if you're here. Just wanted to, I'm always in for making more money. Mike says if you pay Holden extra, he'll show up in a bondage suit to host. That is accurate. And it wouldn't cost you that much. Probably $100 is all it would take. I just have to go to my closet over here. Everything's clean. And if you want to send me $100, go for it and I'll do it. Coop, good morning. Hello, and wonderful to see you. Sure you have a lot of things. On the show yesterday, you said you like the young guys a lot. And I do. What that means. Hopefully they're at least 18.
Man, I really like the young guys, man. And, I know how you want to twist and turn everything, but,
true.
It's nothing like that. So,
cool.
But, if hold on, let's do something for the viewers first.
Okay.
Why don't you and Keg take the hats off?
If Keg does it, I will definitely do it. Keg has taken his hat off one time.
I've seen it one time.
And I don't think he was sober, and I think his daughter made him do it.
Nobody wants to see that.
I do.
11 o'clock.
Coop does.
Nobody wants to see it.
And it would be great, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll take mine. I don't care. I just
do it for the people, Jay. Do it for the people.
Yep. I'll do it on the Keg Live show. Everybody go head on over to Run Pure Sports, get the Keg Live package, and the hat will come off on the live show.
Today?
Probably not. That's false advertising.
That's bullshit. You need to step it up, Keg. Do you know how many people would go over there today if you were taking the hat off?
A lot.
I can't.
Yeah. All right, we'll plug how you get Keg's show. I'll just say this. I was down in Florida for a couple of days. Probably the worst state in the union. Prehistoric animals, Florida man, Florida woman. Just a horrible place. But I did go 130 on the highway. There's no video proof of that, so the cops can't do anything to me retroactive. But I was talking to you guys about how fast you've gone, and Keg has legitimately gone faster on a freeway, not a NASCAR track, on a freeway than I have ever talked to anybody. Keg, what's the record?
200 miles an hour on the Garden State Parkway.
What time?
In a Ferrari that I was obviously not driving. But
you weren't driving.
I was in the car, though. I was there.
Was that scary or fun?
No, it was fun. A little scary, mostly fun.
What time was this at? Like 3 a.m?
Yeah, on the way back from Atlantic City.
Wow. What did it take you, like 30 minutes to get home?
No, bro. You don't go 200 the whole way. I mean, you just see what the car can do, and then you drive like a normal human being.
All right. Coop, talk to me. What's the fastest you've ever gone?
I might have hit 100, man. I value life much more than Keg, man.
100? That's all?
Yeah.
It's awful. Yeah. You should try driving a little faster than that sometime.
No, man. Cars are dangerous, man.
Do you think that anybody would actually put how fast they went the fastest in the chat? If you could do it, that would be absolutely amazing, because I want to know. I got my M6 package up to 190 plus. That's impressive. How fast are the guys going today? Are any of them going 600 miles an hour?
No.
What's the fastest in all seriousness? 250?
Probably like low 190s.
Oh, that's not
today.
bad.
Yeah.
All right, so let's stop bullshitting here. Get into what we were going to do. Like button would be nice. Subscribe to our channels. Coop, I'm going to start with you since it's a DFS and bet show, but I want to get this DFS here. A lot of people are in here for DFS. Strategies. Go back over it again. We just did a NASCAR show a couple weeks ago. What are some DFS strategies you're going to want to apply this week?
We got a 1.5 mile track. The tire wear is probably medium, not nearly as abrasive as what we saw last week. I don't think it's smooth enough to where anybody's going to try a 2-tire pit stop, though. So, based upon what we saw in practice and qualifying yesterday, it doesn't look like we're going to see the wreck fest that we saw last week. That's not to say that there won't be any. The restarts will be, the diciest because the cars will be bunched up and it's fairly easy to pass here. So that would be the best opportunity. And, if you get one, it tends to lead to more as cautions breed cautions. But I wouldn't also be surprised if we have some long green flag runs here too. So a combination of both is what we'll probably see today. So you definitely want some dominators, but I think you also want some place differential drivers also.
And this is a lot different from Daytona, right? Where we were saying, stay away from the guys up front, right?
Yeah.
We're going with the guys in the back. How do you handle that this week?
Well, I mean, in the past, this has been a very low attrition race. Most of the issues have come from mechanicals side of view versus wrecks. With the new car and what we've seen so far, that could change this year. So, the guys in the back are a little bit safer depending upon who you're looking at. There are some back there that I just don't want to play, but you're going to need speed. It's not like pack racing. So you're not going to have to be able to draft off of the others. So, it really depends upon the car. And there's some drivers in the back that just don't have the speed.
So, Keg, I know you do some pre-race basing or betting on the racing, but for the most part, you just absolutely crush this live betting show that you've been doing. It's ridiculous amount of money you've made. JJ was telling me even last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, Larson, you won some plus 175 for him. So that's great. Plug what you're doing, first of all, on the Kegcast, and then I got some betting thoughts for you or betting questions.
For anybody that wants to sign up to the bets package, you can use the code BETS25 off, gets you 25% off the first week or month. For anybody that is really into in-game betting, we have a live betting package. It's basically $10 a week. We try to do 20 hours of content every week. And we do really well. Last year, Coop and I made just under 140 units on Sundays on that live show in the Cup Series. So it's profitable. Overall, NASCAR, probably the most profitable sport that we do, I think, on the bet side so far. But yeah, it's been going really, really well. And we crush live. 90% of the bets that I make in NASCAR are while the race is going on. Coop and I might get involved with 1 or 2 pre-race bets every week. The pre-race betting in NASCAR is actually pretty sharp. And most of the numbers are really not worth getting involved in pre-race.
Okay.
But you have so much more information once the race starts. So
I don't think people understand how I don't want to say easy, but how beneficial it is to bet NASCAR live, especially if you're looking to build a bankroll. Because probably 95% of the bets that we make are on the plus side. And it makes it easier to build that bankroll. Plus, you can also take, obviously, more chances and make a few more bets, to win. But it's a very good bankroll builder if you're looking to build your bank.
Yeah, and I'll just say basketball is the same way. If you guys bet basketball, then NASCAR is the same thing. Like, you're going to get a better number in game, most likely in basketball. And there's ways that Keg and Coop attack this thing on the live side, the NASCAR side. So What's the package here, Keg? And then I want to get your thoughts on today's race.
Yeah, you can head over to runpuresports.com. The package is $40 a month, and it gets you into our live Discord room where we're betting constantly, and obviously gives you access to the show.
Okay, so listen, we're doing DFS stuff here. I wonder what can translate from the bet side over to the DFS side. So talk to me about some guys you like today headed into the race, and whether or not there's maybe a driver or two that you don't think many people are on that you're going to be on.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the 5 best cars going into the race today are probably Blaney, Elliott, and Larson from Hendrick, and Blaney, Logano, and Bell, I would think, are the 6 best cars we have going into the race. Coop and I gave out a play on our show on the bet side that we do. I'll give it out now. It's also I threw it on the sheet as well. It's Group A on DK, Kyle Larson, and Chase Elliott. I wanted to try to get this straight. So I took Kyle Larson at plus 195 and Elliott at plus 265 to finish ahead of Logano and Hamlin. So if one of those two guys finishes ahead of Logano and Hamlin, you're going to scrape at least a unit's profit, maybe close to 2 units profit. That's the only pre-race look that I've actually bet today on the card. Although DK Group B, I think Will Byron's got the best long run speed right now heading into the race. At least that's what the consecutive lap average times say. So I think that he's going to be strong on the long run today. And I think Ryan Blaney, as long as he doesn't have the problems that he had on pit road last week, at plus 220, him and Byron over Truex and Kyle Busch in Group B, I also don't mind. Those would probably be the 2 pre-race looks I would feel good about giving out.
Okay, let's look at this here. Coop, let's go and start talking about who you like in tiers, I guess. The top range guys, the mid range guys, the lower tier guys. Start there, Coop. And also, before you do that, I think usually we don't take questions in the free shows. I think today we can do that. So I'll save a little time at the end. Don't bother putting the questions in there now, but I do want to hit some questions before this thing is all over, just to, placate you diehard NASCAR fans out there. So Coop, let's start with tiers here. Who do you like up top?
Are you wanting to go by price versus starting position?
Yeah. What do you think?
Okay. It doesn't matter. We can do whatever one.
Let's do price.
So, all right. So we'll go 10K and above. We'll start there. Kyle Larson, obviously, he does whatever he wants to do now. He's, can start in the back, get to the front. He just has a great car and he's a great driver. So he's the obvious play. You want to definitely have some Kyle Larson. Below him, Chase Elliott. Chase practiced okay, average, but Chase usually doesn't practice the best, and he's better in the race. I think he's a solid GPP play, and I also like combining him with Larson too. I don't think many people will play the two together. Joey Logano, it came down to me to play either Logano or Elliott, and I went with Elliott. I think Logano is going to be strong, but I don't see both Elliott and Logano getting dominator points that are needed. So I think you got to choose between one of the two, and it could end up that neither one of them get the dominator points. So I just think that Elliott has a little bit of speed that's better, and I think people might be sitting on Elliott because I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he had the best car last week. If he would have been able to stay clean the entire race. Blaney, really like Blaney. As Keg said, he showed great speed. The pit issues, are worrisome, but it's an issue with the car. It's not an issue with the team. So hopefully they've got that fixed. The issues that they've had would have, affected any pit team that was out there. So, definitely have some Ryan Blaney. And then Denny Hamlin at the bottom is somebody that I'm not going to be playing because I think he's going to drive around and probably finish anywhere from 5th to 8th because that's what Denny does nowadays. But the elephant in the room in that range is Ked's boy, Kyle Busch. He had issues yesterday, and he's going to a backup car. He's going to be starting dead last, which provides him with a huge amount of upside. The big, concern that people have with Kyle Busch, it was shown on TV that the car that's coming off the trailer is basically a parts car. Didn't even have his name on it, so on and so forth. I think a lot of it's just a story because if none of that would have been shown, none of this would have been brought up. The team worked tirelessly all night and probably even into this morning to get the car where it needs to be. Is it going to be a race-winning car? No. But could it be a top 10 car? Most definitely. The thing with Kyle Busch, he only needs to finish in 14th place to hit value. If he was a little bit more expensive and had to finish in the top 10, then I think, it would be more questionable whether to play him or not. I get the piece if you want to play 1 or 2 lineups and fade him, or if you're in single entry and you want to fade him because the ownership should be, high. But I'm not as worried about the backup car as what other people tend to believe. And I think, the 14th place finish to hit the value is the kicker for me, which is very well attainable for him.
All right. So that's up top, right, Coop?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we'll come back to you in a minute because I have my own question about this. I'm gonna throw a lineup in a NASCAR today. We're doing the show. I'm working with 2 guys that know their shit, so that's great. Kegger, what does it mean that Busch is in a backup car? What does it mean for him today? You're on mute, buddy.
Amateur hour.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been struggling for a while now. He didn't have a great year last year either. I mean, the car that they initially take off the trailer is in a much better place and further along in its progression to be a contender than a car that was basically a spec car off the truck that it literally looked like it was coming out of the junkyard. Like sheet metal, it wasn't even wrapped, like all parts that they were going to use for spare parts if they needed it on the car that they really wanted to race at Vegas. So I think it means a lot. In terms of him winning the race, I think it means a lot. But I agree with Coop. I mean, in order for him to be profitable, you need him to crack the top 15. I think you're good there. I agree with Coop there.
All right, Coop, let's go into the mid-tier. Who are some of the guys you're looking at today? How many guys in the mid-tier would you consider?
We'll go down to Keselowski at 8-4. I don't have any interest in Keselowski. I think he's going to be like Hamlin and just right around. I think he's going to finish right around where he starts. He could be worse. I don't know. I just don't see the upside from him. Alex Bowman's right above him at 8.7K. I really like Alex Bowman today. I think he's going to have a little lower ownership because of the Busch brothers and Kevin Harvick, collecting some ownership. But Alex Bowman is someone I think who will benefit from the longer green run flags, as he usually has a long, good green run flag runs. And I think people are going to sleep on him. And, I think he could actually be an outside dominator. When Alex Bowman does well, people really don't expect him to do well. When they expect him to do well, he usually, doesn't do the best that he possibly can. So Kurt Busch, he's an auto play. He's similar to his brother, Kyle, has to finish 14th to get there. Very reasonable. Again, if he was more expensive, I probably would be more reluctant, but he's not. The big question is, do you play both of the Busch brothers together? I have lineups to have both of them, but I also have lineups to have just one of them. I don't think fading both is the best way to go. I do have some that don't have either, but they are far and few between, because I think it's very likely that one of them, if not both of them, finish in the top 15. Kevin Harvick is a stand I'm taking today. I won't have any Kevin Harvick. He has good upside. from his starting position, but he's just not, Kevin Harvick anymore. He has hit the wall last year, like I told Keg, and that wall has not opened back up, man. Yeah, he got a top 10 last week, but statistically, his numbers were horrible. And if he has another week like that, or if the weeks continue like that, the majority of the time he's going to finish 20th or worse. His average position last week running in the race was 20th. He only passed 14% of his passes were quality passes, meaning top 15 cars. He essentially just backdoored this top 15. Tyler Reddick is another driver in that range who I love Tyler Reddick, have high hopes on Tyler Reddick. But the interview that I saw yesterday from Tyler Reddick was not very encouraging. I don't know if he was comparing his car to how it's been at the Clash and how it was in Fontana, but he wasn't happy with it.
Real quick, Coop. Keg, isn't that your guy, Reddick? You like Reddick, right?
Yeah. Well, last year, Coop and I were ahead of the curve on Reddick, about a year ahead of the curve. He's gaining traction now. He's becoming popular now. Now the prices that you see on Reddick, really the juice isn't worth the squeeze. We were on him a lot last year, but yeah, we both like Reddick a lot. Big year. We expect a big year from Tyler Reddick.
Okay.
A lot like Will Byron last year, I think.
So Coop, Keg likes him, but you don't love him in DFS?
No, I don't. His comments about his car were not positive. Okay. He wasn't happy with the car, and usually you can get a lot out of the driver's words when they hear it. Sure, it could be better, but he didn't show the top 4 or 5 speed, of the drivers that Keg showed before. I wouldn't surprise me if he just drives around and finishes right around where he starts. So, if he was at 8K where he has been in the past, it'd be a different story. But now he's over 9K, so. And then real quick, Martin Truex. I have the same thoughts on him as I do Kevin Harvick. He's might have already hit that wall. He's about ready to hit that wall if he hasn't. He's just struggling. He used to be a dominator on 1.5 mile tracks, and now he is not very good on 1.5 mile tracks over the last year and a half. And then Will Byron. Will Byron might be my favorite DFS play. I think next to Larson and Elliott, I think he had the best car last week. Reddick was up there, but he had them issues. But I think Byron, he needs a really good finish this week because he's had some issues, caught up in other people's issues the last couple of weeks. So from a point perspective, he needs that. But last year, if you looked at 1.5 mile tracks, he was the fastest next to Kyle Larson, and I think that'll continue on this year.
Kegger, how does the parity affect how you approach this from a betting side today? And I guess Coop, after Keg answers that, I want to get your thoughts a little more on it. But Kegger, the parity here, it's big time.
Yeah, you're right. That's the question, man. Now so far the parity hasn't really borne out, I don't think, in the results, but in terms of what Coop and I are seeing on the track this year, we are seeing one car race teams that have absolutely no business hanging with Gibbs, Penske, Hendrick, or Roush. And I mean, a car like Eric Jones looked good. Ricky Stenhouse has looked good this year. Buscher's been coming on strong for a couple of years now. But there are cars that Coop and I were like, wow, like Austin Cendrick. That 2 car is a beast. And Cendrick is racing really well as a rookie. So yeah, parity hasn't borne out in the results, but in the race, you are definitely seeing that the race teams that normally dominate still have a lot to figure out with this next gen car. And it's giving more of an even playing field. Now, in saying that, with 10 laps to go last week, Hendrick was running 1, 2, 3. Now, so I mean, it's parity, but only to a certain extent. Just to echo what Coop said, I love Will Byron, man, today. I think that he's got, at least going into the race, he's got the best long run speed, it looks like, in terms of his consecutive lap average times. They look strong, along with Blaney and Bell. So yeah, I think that Byron is a contender, and I think he's probably the only pre-race pick I thought about betting in that 12 to 14 to 1 range in terms of a pre-race winner. I thought about pulling the trigger on him. I have not done it yet, but I think he is going to be very strong today.
All right. Coop, do you just want to talk about that a little bit and how it applies to DFS?
Yeah, I mean, we have this, like, in this mid-range next coming up. It's always tough when you have like a mid-range price driver who ends up winning the poll. And that's what we have with Christopher Bell this week. Bell is an up-and-coming driver. He's had some very good results. He's also had some very bad results. He was one of the best cars when it comes to speed yesterday, whether it be long or short-term speed. So, starting next to Larson, is an issue. He could, get that lead really quick and lose it, or he could get the lead and, who knows, hang on, because his car showed very well. I like him more on FanDuel than DK because FanDuel is more about finishing position. And I think he can finish in the top 5, barring any, crazy outcomes in the pit road or things like that. So I definitely have some Chris Bell. Austin Cendrick starting third. I like him more from a betting perspective than a DFS perspective. I think you've got to start realizing and thinking, don't think of him as Austin Cendrick as much as like what Keg was saying. That car, he's in one of the best pieces of equipment in all the series. So, you got to take him seriously. And my concern with him is the long run speed. I like, him to hang in the top 10. I like him as a top 10 bet more than I do in the DFS side because I could see him, falling down in the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Amarola, I have no interest in. He's along the lines of Kevin Harvick, who had a very horrible car last week. Get this. Eric Amarola started near the end of the field last week. He ended up in the top 10. All right. But somehow he found a way to get past 24 more times than what he passed cars last week. So how you do that, I have no idea. But, the car overall was not very good. Austin Dillon, very good here. He's starting in a spot, I think, which warrants, a great GPP play. He should be lower owned. He could go either way. So I would only put him in large field GPPs. Chastain, I think, is going to go underlooked. I like him as a GPP play because he's right above Eric Jones, who has been very, very good to start the season. It could have just been practice, whatever happened, but Eric Jones was not that great yesterday in practice. So my hopes on Eric Jones isn't as high as what it has been the last couple weeks. So, I will have some Eric Jones, but not nearly as much as what, I've had in the past. Stenhouse, I think, is another great GPP play. The price makes him playable. He's in that position too, where he could gain a couple spots and pay off, but he's also in a spot where he could lose some spots and bust your teams. So, either way with him, but I won't have a lot, but I will have some. And Suarez, I look at the same way as Chastain, good GPP play. He did backdoor a top 10 last week, but his stats were much better than Amarola and Harvick. And, that's a positive for me when I'm looking at that.
Okay. Like button would be nice. Let's do that. Let's also subscribe to both channels. You're watching this on the Run Pure Sports channel, little sideways triangle, bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And then after that, go to the Run Pure Bets channel. Do the same thing. Run Pure Sports, Run Pure Bets. If you are putting DFS lineups together and you haven't checked out SaberSim, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's a great optimizer. Helps you out here. Normally about $170 a month for SaberSim, the projections, the optimizer, all of our content, written and premium video stuff. Yeah, we got up to lock shows for most sports. The Keg Live add-ons, only $40 a month for live betting, NASCAR, MMA, NFL playoffs, NBA. So Keg, one more time, $40 for Keg Live. What are you going to be doing today? What do you give the subscribers?
Yeah, we'll be live at 3:00 up until the end of the race, and we might stay on longer, depending on what else is going on in terms of sports. And yeah, it's just live betting. Last night we absolutely destroyed UFC. We crushed. We'll be doing March Madness shows, NBA playoff shows. Tyler and Spread will be on. So it's everybody that knows me knows what's been going on for the last 4 years, and I think it's worth it for $10 a week. We're
Okay.
extremely profitable.
All right. Anything you guys like to add before we get to the questions? So, ladies and gents, if you want to ask some questions, we'll get those going and finish up the shows with those, and then Coop's favorite plays as well. But anything else, Keg, you'd like to add before we move on to these questions? And then Coop, why don't you think about it too? But anything else you wanted to add, Keg?
No, I would say the groups A and B, what I gave out on DK, what I said earlier in the show, those are probably the only pre-race looks that I'll be getting involved in. But we will be betting the race live. If I was going to get involved pre-race, it would probably be on Byron around 14-1 in that range. But other than that, no.
Coop, how about you? Anything you'd like to add before we get to the questions?
Yeah, real quick, the value drivers. We're going to have some value drivers in order to fit the top tier drivers in. So none of them stick out more than any of the others this week. So my plan is to go with several of them, spread them around, and hope that they hit. I think there are some nice lower-owned GPP plays down here. Briscoe, he's been great so far this year. My concern with him is like with Cendrick, does he have the long-term speed? So I will not be going there. Custer and Busch are both solid plays where they're starting. You got to have some. Same with Justin Haley. He's shown good speed. But I think, some GPP plays that could possibly win you the race would be a Bubba Wallace, a Daniel Hemrick, or a Harrison Burton. They're starting in, the 16th, 17th, and 19th place positions. Their salaries are cheap enough. They're not going to have the ownership of the other drivers because they're starting farther forward. But I would not be surprised if one of these drivers did not end up in the top 10. And my favorite of the three would probably be Bubba Wallace. He did end up top 10 in here last year. Bubba is really, really good on the super speedways. I don't like playing him on the technical courses, whether it be tire wear, road courses, things of that nature. But I think this course or track will fit very well for Bubba. So I do like him. I don't mind Harrison Burton either. My issue with Hemrick, and I kind of worry about this with Haley too, is if the college teams are very good, it's their first year in NASCAR. But if you look at their numbers historically in the Xfinity Series, they're very, very good on the short tracks, and they're very, very good on the super speedways 2 miles and longer, especially the 2.5 mile tracks. Where they struggled at is the 1.5 miles. So I don't know if that'll translate over. I have both of them, but I'm a little cautious on either. And then, lastly but not leastly, Greg Biffle is back again in our lives. Greg Biffle showed some speed yesterday.
My man.
Yes. He showed some speed yesterday. He has RCR support. I'll have a little bit of him, but he's somebody who I could see finishing 22nd, 23rd, but I could also see him finishing 28th, 29th. His price allows you to do a lot of good things. But I would say from a speed perspective, he has better speed than a Ty Dillon, a McDowell, Corey LaJoy, and then, the bottom tier of Bilecki and Smedley and all them. So I'm more willing to take some chances on Greg Biffle.
Coop, one race driver that you and I didn't bring up on either show. What do you think? What do you expect from Austin Dillon today?
He could go either way. I think, he could finish 10th where he starts, or I think he could finish 4th, or he could fix 16th. So hard to tell. He runs well here.
You think he's fadeable in matchups today?
He's just one person I want to stay away from because he could go all different ways, man. The one thing I will tell you is he did finish second last week, and if that makes more people want to play him or bet him, I would not advise that, because when you look at his driver rating for last week, it was a 92, and that's a good driver rating for a car that finishes 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere in that ballpark, but not a very good top 2 car. So his car was not nearly as good as what his finish was last week.
Okay, guys, let's get some questions here in the chat. We usually don't do this for free shows, but we're going to do it today. Family Man, who's going to have the balls to play Bell over Larson? What do you think, Coop?
Oh, I have lineups to have Bell in it and not Larson. I don't think you play the two of them together on DK. I don't think they correlate well together. I think you can on FanDuel, because, like I said, FanDuel is more about finishing position. So, on FanDuel, I don't mind the two of them together, but I definitely have some Bell over Larson lineups. And, I think a lot of it's going to depend, on that push at the beginning of the race. Who's the better pusher, Cendrick or Briscoe? Which one gets the one or the other out front? So we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. This would be for both of you, I guess, from a betting side and from a DFS side. Keg, what do you just think of Hemrick? Any thoughts on Daniel Hemrick?
I mean, he's just back up to the Cup Series, right? I think he was here before for a cup of coffee, went back down to the Xfinity Series, won a championship. I mean, Daniel Hemrick really isn't on my radar from a betting perspective yet. Xfinity Series is a different story, but I would need probably some nice plus money in matchups on only fadeable drivers to get involved with Daniel Hemrick from a betting perspective. So I will not be betting Hemrick today unless the opportunity presents itself live, obviously.
Any Hemrick exposure today, Coop?
Oh, yeah, I definitely have some. I think he's going to be lower owned. He's a risky play. But when I think of Daniel Hemrick, I think of long runs, somebody who can manage their tires, somebody who runs well on, tires that are old. And I think Fontana did well for that. Darlington does well for that. This track, maybe not as much, but he's always had some speed. I don't know if he has top 10 ability, but I could see him finishing 12th, 13th, 14th. I could also see him finishing 23rd. So, he's just somebody I think you got to take some shots at. And like I said, I won't have a lot, but I won't need a lot because he's not going to be, highly owned.
Cooper, you're going to have a cash score today, or is anybody going to have a cash score today?
Yeah, it'll be on the site.
It'll be on the site, the cash score?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Nape wants you to rank these four if you can, Coop. Custer, Busch, or Haley Burton?
Burton would be last, but I like Burton as, the GPP play or a single entry play because he's going to be low owned. Custer, Buscher, and Haley, I mean, flip a coin, toss them all. They all have solid upside. I have equal exposure, I think, of all three of them. Custer, ran well last week, but he has run well in California before. Buscher has struggled a little bit to begin this year, but he's been solid in general on 1.5s. And then, Haley's kind of a wild card. So if I had to do it, I'd go Buscher, Custer, Haley, and Burton. But, I like Burton because he's in a good car.
All right, Keg. I just want some final thoughts from you again. Top two bets, and then make sure you plug your show because it's been very, very profitable, especially for NASCAR.
Yeah, the bet that I gave out on both shows is to take Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott to win Group A over Logano and Hamlin. I like Joey Logano today, even though I hate him, but I think he's strong at most tracks. So he worries me a little bit, but I think those 200 cars will be okay. So I'm going to try to go for the 1 unit scrape there. And I might sprinkle a little bit on the Group B on DK because I think that Byron is going to be really good today. And Blaney, as long as he doesn't have a pit road issue, should be really strong today, especially over Truex. I think Kyle Busch is the wild card in that Group B. If that backup car is on point, that could be an issue. But yeah, I'll probably go for a small scrape in Group B with Will Byron at plus 220 and Ryan Blaney at plus 220.
Hey, Coop, so before we get to your plays here, lowest price punt on DK from Junior. What do you think?
Greg Biffle for me. If I was wanting to take a shot at like one of the four, like Smithley, LaJoy, McLeod, and Ware, it would be Ware. He showed the best speed. Ty Dillon is a risky fade, starting 32nd, but since the beginning of the year after the Clash, Ty has not shown much speed minus Daytona, which was a different, animal. He was really disappointing last week, and he wasn't very good in practice whatsoever yesterday. So I'm going to, hope that, we see the same results again and fade Ty Dillon, but, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people out there to play him.
Play of the day there, Coop. Who's the, I don't know what you call it, if you have a play that you want to call it, but who's your play of the day?
Oh, I would say William Byron, man. He's my favorite driver. He has upside from point differential. He has upside from dominator potential. And, he's had a very good car. He just hasn't had very good luck so far this year. And the luck needs to turn around for him. And this is a track that it could happen at, because he's very, very good on the 1.5 miles. And he has speed to compete with Larson up front.
All right. I see Matty Ice in the NASCAR chat. So if you guys if you're subscribers on the DFS side and you're looking for the playbook and you're looking for the core plays, okay, go to the Discord. If you are a subscriber, go to NASCAR. Matty Ice is posting the playbook and the cores in there, okay, and the cores in there. So make sure you take care of that. And I think that'll do it for the show today, boys. Nice show. Keg, thanks for waking up early. Thanks to myself for waking up early. Coop, I think you live in the Atlantic time zone, so you've been up for hours. Yeah. Where do you live, Coop?
Outside of Lynchburg, Virginia, man. We had this conversation. You used to live in Roanoke, man.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. We'd probably have to have it 3 more times for me to remember, but damn, you're out there in the country in Virginia. Yes, you ever get up to Richmond, I'm sure, right? You go to Richmond.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours and 15 minutes away. Don't care much for it. Too big.
Oh, too big for you. Okay. Yeah. Subscribe, bottom right-hand side of the corner of the screen, sideways triangle. Be one of the many who have already subscribed today. It's great stuff. Kegger, wonderful to see you, sir. Go back to sleep. Coop, do whatever the hell you're doing. I'm going back to sleep as well. Simon, thank you for making this happen, and get us out of here, please.